how to properly cape an animal. So if you remember from the hunting video and the cutting it up in the field, we've got the cape already split all the way up to here. So I'm going to take off from that point and I'm going to do a line from the base of the antler here to here. It's a little V shape. Try to keep those incisions as straight as you can, not to save the taxidermist some work. And then go to sew this back together. Okay, then this is the ear. This is the base of the ear, and there's a whole big bunch of cartilage that you can feel if you just kind of hold it like that. So you want to go ahead and cut down, not into the skull and not into that cartilage, kind of in between the two. And then you'll cut, and that's a little bit safer route to try to not cut a hole in the cape. And see, then that's the ear canal. So when you get to there, you know you're doing good. Okay, I'll do the other ear when I flip it over, but. So the trickiest part to caping is at the base of these antlers. It's solid bone and there's like a ridge here. So the antler has all of these raised areas and the skin goes up underneath that. So I'm going to come in here underneath these ridges in the antler. I'm going to cut up against the bone at the base of the antler. If you do this all the way around, get it to where all the hair comes off on the hide and you don't really leave much at all at the base of the antler. But the tricky part with this is to not cut a whole bunch of little slits in this as you're going around the corner. Up against that bone. This part right here is the hardest on a deer because it's so tight to the skull. There's a fair amount of prying that goes on with the knife right there, so now I'll switch back over to this Havilon that's got a thinner blade, sharper. Now I'm getting to the eye socket, and there's a bone that goes around the eye right here, and so you can feel that bone when you start peeling back, and then there's kind of some fatty tissue right there that's behind the eye. That's not the eye itself, so you kind of want to feel for this bone right behind the eye, and then kind of cut up along that bone. And so now my thumb is actually going into the eye socket. So I'm going to go ahead and skin a little further around the base of the antler. So here's the jaw muscle, the lower end of the jaw. So now here's another tricky part for caping. You need to take your finger and put it actually up in the eye and then fold the hide back. See, my finger is right there. You lift up and you cut underneath your finger. Don't cut your finger, cut underneath of it. Keep pulling away and you'll expose that inner eyelid, and you can cape that out without ruining the integrity of the eye. Also save your taxidermist a lot of work. because I don't have to try to recreate that as much. Okay, so it's getting a little tight, so I need to relieve some more tension by caping a little further from around the antler. So the front's a lot easier to get your knife up against the bone. Top of the skull. Okay, so now to finish off this eye, now that I've got some slack, thumb can go in there and just pull down. Don't cut any of the black tissue, the dark brown blackish tissue. Stay in the whitish tissue. And then these deer and elk have a tear duct that goes way into the skull right there. And so you have to really be careful not to just cut that out and leave a big gouge. So from the inside, you just need to pull back. And then you skin down into that cavity, pulling it back. Eventually you will put a little tiny hole. You can see that just because it does go up into the skull, but that's better than cutting a huge hole that has to be repaired. Skinning, mostly keeping my knife pressure against the skull. Okay, now I'll show you what you're looking at here. This is the beginning of the mouth. So the mouth ends here, but the teeth go way back here, all the way up in there. And so you want to kind of retain all those lips and things that are inside there. So when you fold this back, let me skin this a little further, just so you can see it better. So you can kind of feel that there's like it's loose in there. There's a big tissue. So you don't want to cut here. You want to come back up where you feel the teeth. You can feel the teeth. Come back up to where you start feeling teeth. You pinch this and you cut down into that. And see, there's the teeth. And then what you want to do is do all the lips and the gum tissue and skin all that as close as you can to the teeth as possible. Okay, I need to start and do the other side to get enough slack to finish that side off. So I'll turn it this way, tip it over, and then I'll come back to this ear area. And the base is all cartilage. Start skinning it back. There's the ear canal. Stay closer to the skull than you do towards the ear canal, and you should be safe for cutting holes, to avoid cutting holes in the hide. Okay, so now I'm going to come back and I'm going to switch knives again for this difficult part that requires a little bit of prying to a stronger knife blade. So I'm cutting into the bone and I'm twisting up and I'm pulling back with my knife. So my knife is kind of prying this off and cutting it back here. So I'm cutting up into the base of the antlers. Get all that hide out of there, all the hair out of there, which will make for a better final product of the mount. Okay, switching back to my other knife. Skinning up the base of the skull that's below the antlers. And again, trying not to cut a bunch of little lines in there. It just peels back. A note on knives, you want to have a nice, sharp, thin-bladed knife for keeping. The sharper the better, because it just cuts instead of you forcing it. The more you force it, the more you risk cutting a hole in the hide or cutting yourself. But I always wear cut-proof gloves and latex gloves on top of that to keep those clean. Definitely helps. base of the antler. There's that fatty tissue behind the eye. Feeling for the bone, base of the eye socket was right there. So I'm feeling it for it here as I peel it back. There it is. Skin this a little ways, get yourself some slack. And then remember, finger goes in the eye, and up and underneath. There's my finger, you can see the tip. Go behind it. Cut down into that tissue. Stay away from the black and brown tissue. You want there. You want it to just come off nice and clean. All the eyelids and all that is all attached to the cape. Okay, here's the tear duct area again, so don't go cutting straight into that. Make sure you lift and pull skin down into that tear duct. Let's pull it up and out of that cavity. Our makeshift caping table made out of a cooler and a plastic tub. Saves your back anyway. Alright, I'm going to skin down the bottom of the neck. The rack kind of helps hold it up like that. So now I've got a little bit better angle to do these lips over here. And the rack does a good job of holding it. So remember the teeth, feel for the teeth, come to where the teeth are, pinch this and cut down into that area. And then you'll see the inside of the gums. Even though the mouth ends way down here when you look at the other side of the... Okay, battery died on the old GoPro from all the hunting action this morning, so I had to switch to an iPhone to finish this out. By the way, check out the hunting videos on our channel. We've also got other videos on how to cut up a deer in the field, how to process them in camp without using a butcher, no saws. Okay, I'm going to go back to the ground for just this last little part. So I'm going to skin, keeping close to the teeth area, keeping a lot of the lips on the cape. It's got that little pointy tissue. So this is kind of delicate work. If you want to get good at it, you can practice on a doe or something when it doesn't matter. Coming at the bottom of the jaw here. So now you should be able to see, if you look over here, you can see teeth. The bottom teeth. So you want to stay nice and close with the gum line right close to the teeth. Skin that all the way off. Okay, so the whole bottom half is done. And so now, to finish out here, I come up and I cut a nice line into the gums, down into the skull. Again, leaving a whole bunch of tissue in here. Don't go cutting up into there. Let's do the other side. Nice cut right across there. just kind of keeping your tension up against the skull will help you not cut a hole in the hide. If you do, it's not a big deal. Just piss off your taxidermist a little bit, because we'll have to sew some holes up. So now we're getting up to the nose tissue. And this is an interesting part, because now you've been so careful not to cut into anything, now you're going to cut down into that. So you cut down in to the nasal passage, but you try to not cut the tip of the nose off. There's a bunch of cartilage in here. It's okay to go ahead and leave as much cartilage as you can on the cape, because the taxidermist will come skin all that out how they prefer. And there's the cape ready to go to the taxidermist.